Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum to all of you. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the introduction of The Sound and Fury by William Faulkner. Dear student, in my previous lectures, I have also discussed the Civil War in America, and we have see the detail in detail the historical traces and the historical background of the Civil War in America, the rift and the controversy between the southern states and the northern states in America, and what is the impact of the Civil War on the American society, and you are all aware of it about that. And in this lecture particularly, we will discuss the life of this William Faulkner and the introduction of the very book The Sound and the Fury. So see the life sketch of the William Faulkner. Actually, he was born in 1897 and died into the 1962, who came from an old southern family, grew up in Oxford, Mississippi, and he was from the Mississippi, from the southern state. Actually, he is a writer who interpreted, who depicts, and who wrote about the people of the South and their southern life standard and the plight and the problem of the southern families. And his work actually is a reflection of the plight of the southern peoples and their problems. And then he joined the Canadian newspaper, and later on he joined the British Royal Air Force during the First World War, and then he studied for a while at the University of the Mississippi, then temporarily worked for a neurotic bookstore and New Orleans newspaper. So it means that he was also take the part in World War I, and he studied in the University of the Mississippi, and he also worked at the bookstore to keep his body and soul together. And then he worked for as a journalist. He worked for the Orleans newspaper. Except from some trips to the Europe and Asia and a few brief stay in the Hollywood as a scriptwriter, he worked on his novels and short story on a farm in Oxford. Actually, you know that after a short trip in the Europe and the Asia, and studying in the Mississippi University, and then getting the job as a journalist in the Orleans newspaper, then he leave all these things and they work as a script writer in the Hollywood, where from that he get the experience of the story writing, that how to organize a plot, how can we develop the plot, and how can we organize the story. So then he shifted his art toward the writing and start writing the short story, the short novels and the poems and these all stories. Usually his work actually narrates the enigmatic, the ideas of the human mind. And see the structure of the story. Actually, The Sound and Fury. The Sound and the Fury tells the story of the aristocratic family, actually, which had a distinguished ancestor, but which has fallen on evil days. And what is the reason that why these southern families or on their evil days? The reason is that after the Civil War in America, what is the conditions and what is the problem of the aristocratic families who were from the southern states, and their lives and their deteriorations and their family problems after the Civil War. These all are highlighted in this very book, The Sound and Fury. And this story also reveals the decline, the deterioration of the highly respectable family, that's the Compson family. And this is the elite family from the elite club of the southern family, and this was the family who belongs to the aristocratic family. And the family consists of Mr. Compson and Miss Compson. These are actually the family heads, Mr. Compson and Mrs. Compson. And they have the 4 children, Quentin, Caddy, Jason, and Benjamin are the Benjy. So these means the Mr. Compson is the head of the family, and Mrs. Compson, she is actually wife of the Mr. Compson. And they have the 4 children, Quentin, Caddy, and Jason. Benjamin or the Benjy. And then they have also the Negro servants, Dilsey, her husband, Roscus, in their three sons, Varesh, Thipi, and Luster, and one daughter, Froni. Actually, I have already told you that the whole economy, their agro-economy depended on the slave, and these all the black people were the slave of this aristocratic families. So here you will also see the character who are from the slavery, and they serve these aristocratic people like Dilsey and her husband Roscus and their three sons. These all are the people who are the servant of this aristocratic Compson family. And this Compson family live in the town of the Jefferson in the southern states of the America. And then this whole book is divided into the four sections, and the novel consists this novel consists four sections. The first three sections contain the three monologues, and keep in mind this plot, the plot of this very story is not an organic plot or the very plain plot, but this is the loose plot. Here the story get the gems because this whole story is narrated in the perspective of the enigmatic ideas of the human minds and the human brains. So you will see the jumps in the story, and there is not an organic plot, there is actually loose plot. Even story is not in an organic way, but the things that is described here, they are very wonderful. So this whole story is divided into the monologues. That there are the four monologues. In these four monologues, this whole story is constructed. And the fourth section of this novel, three actually are narrated by these three different characters, and the fourth section narrated the incident from the point of view of a detached observer. Actually, detached observer might be the Dilsey, who is actually a servant of these aristocratic family, that Compson family. And then the section 1 is the Benjy's monologue. That's the title is April 7th, 1928. And then the section 2 is Quentin's monologue. That's June 2nd, 1910. And the third section is narrated by Jason, and his title is Jason, because this session is narrated by the Jason. So therefore, his title of this is Jason's monologue. That's April 6, 1928. Then the last section that's narrated by the third person, and its title is April 8th, 1928. So this is the structure of the book, and this whole book based on the stream of the consciousness. Actually, what is the stream of consciousness? In my previous series, we have already discussed that what is the level consciousness and the level of the consciousness. So here you will see that what is actually in stream of the consciousness. Actually, a stream of consciousness, a literary style in which a character's thoughts, feelings, and the reaction are depicted in the continuous flow and interpreted by objective description or conventional dialogues. So what's actually in the stream of consciousness will reveal the previous memories, bad or the good. These are thoughts that you have experienced in your life, and whatever you have faced, and whatever the data in your mind that have acquired through your all senses, and whatever the thoughts that you have, whatever the feelings you have, then you recall, and they are suddenly emerge and reveal in your mind. And this techniques used in the literature, as the William Faulkner used here in this story, and usually the James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, and the Marcel Proust are among its notably early exponents. These are the actually writers who use this very famous genre and very famous techniques in the literature actually, and they narrates and depicts their stories with the help of this technique. And the stream of consciousness is the continuous flow of sensation, images, thoughts, memories, impression, whatever that your mind retain the memories from the subconsciousness and unconsciousness. Suddenly you recall these thoughts in you, and they become part of your active brain. Then you think about these all points. And then these techniques actually introduce this technique is used by William James in his book The Principle of the Psychology. So actually this technique is used in The Principle of the Psychology by William James. And then why the William Faulkner choose this stream of consciousness for this novel. The reason is the loss of the Civil War completely altered the everyday life of the South. So the reason that why he uses a stream of consciousness, because what was the condition of these southern peoples after the post Civil War, their conditions and their everyday life, they are all on the evil days. So he narrates their early life with the help of the stream of consciousness and their present condition. A confusing time in which the blacks were illegally emancipated but socially unequal to voice, still unable to pursue either education or equal economic opportunities. When these people were dominant, when the southern family were the aristocrats, and that time they keep these black people as a servant. As the Civil War started, then there is a southern people, the people from those northern states, they said these people are exploiting these common people. Why they retain, why they keep these black people as a slave? They need economical opportunities. Therefore the Civil War between the southern state and the northern state started, and in the end these black people were emancipated. And the families were affected financially, definitely, because these were the aristocratic family and their whole economy depend upon these slaves. They work for them and they earn their livelihoods with the help of these people, and they are just enjoying their life, and these people are their slave and they are work for that. Slavery is the very common practice in their culture. And after the Civil War, these all families were financially in the decline state, and psychologically and socially, even the financial decline had enormous effect on the moral of the region. So definitely in this story, when you see these character from the aristocratic family and their life standard, how are they on the evil days, what's their financially problem, and what kind of the psychological trauma they face, and how these all things affect their moral values, their character, even their family structure. Creating the Compson's family to manifest economic troubles of the South and its negative effects. Actually, William Faulkner created this whole story to depict and to narrate and manifest the problem. There is economical problem, either the social problem of the southern families, with the help of this story, the sound, and the film fury. The second important element that in a story is that incest relations. Actually, what is the incest relation? Infraction of the taboo upon the sexual relations between any two members of the nuclear family except the husband and the wife, that is between the parents and children or any sibling pairs. So opposite of the Oedipus Rex, we have the incest relationship. Actually, incest relationship happen between the siblings, like the brother and the sister. So you will see the relationship as it actually the Quentin's that feelings and affections and for his sister Caddy. So these all the relationship between the Caddy and the Quentin, also an incestuous relationship. From the stream of consciousness, the second important element here in this story is that's the incestuous relationship between the brothers, that's the Caddy and the Quentin. And throughout their troubled family life, they have been forced to become closer to one another. Actually, their family troubles force them to they should be closer to one another, and the normal boundary lines between brother and sister have been erased. So definitely, due to their psychological traumas and due to their financial problems and due to their social even problems, because these brother and the both brother and sister Caddy and Quentin, they are come very closer. Because of this, they have developed a deep and sometimes a social bond. So these affections that's become very common now, they become very addicted, and now they occur a fixation between Caddies, yes, that's Caddy and the Quentin. So actually Quentin develops certain feelings for his sister Caddy. So NCS relations also occur in this very story. So this is the end of this introduction of the novel, that you have to keep in mind the brief introduction of the William Faulkner in the structure of this very novel, and the two important techniques that is used in this very story, that is stream of consciousness and the NCS relationship. Thank you so much, and we